Spirit of God in the clear running water, blowing to greatness the trees on the hill. Blow, blow, blow till I be but breath of the Spirit blowing in me.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Tibor Deheny. He's the Publicity Co-ordinator of Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group. Welcome back. It was great having you last week, and it's great to have you back. You were talking about your role as an actor, and I know that you're one of the principal actors of the current musical. And you weren't always a confident actor. Could you tell us a little bit about your past in the point of the stammering you used to have?
Oh yes, I actually this is something that had plagued me for all my life, until even into my mid-40s. Okay, it wasn't until I was almost 50 before I began to study acting, and honestly I had looked at all different ways to overcome this stammer, and which would simply manifest itself as soon as I felt under pressure, and you can imagine what that would be like on stage. And I really I had a very difficult time in actually being on stage initially, but it was acting which, you see, but before I get onto that, the fact is that there was the faith in God and in the knowledge that He wants the best for us, the best for me. I always felt, therefore, that there had to be a solution to this situation, and fortunately I met people who along the way supported me in that, and one of the ones was this particular friend and spiritual teacher who actually recommended that I study acting. And so once again, it was a question of how do I handle that situation, and once again I had teachers who gave me strategies such as, hey Tibor, don't try and deny it, just go with it. And that takes faith. See, that takes faith, that if I follow this teacher or follow this suggestion or just simply allow it to be, then it will actually resolve, and that's what happened. And so by the time I found the Call of Guadalupe theatre group and took part in that performance of Call of Guadalupe Musical back in 2016, I was ready, much more ready than ever before, because of what I'd already done in terms of putting myself into situations that would challenge me, and that takes faith. It takes faith to do that.
Yeah.
There's no other way. It takes courage, of course, as well, but it actually takes faith first and foremost. And so consequently, when I walked into that particular musical and met you and John Lee, your dad, then it was almost like coming home.
Wow.
And so consequently, when then John approached me later on in 2016 to be involved in his musical Magdalene, a Wanton Saint, which he wanted to have performed in 2017, well, I just embraced that with all the enthusiasm that I could muster, and once again that was a huge performance, a huge experience. But it's more about the community theatre and the people that one meets. This has been such an enriching experience for me, just to be involved in community theatre. I personally feel there's no better way, no more effective way to expand one's life, or to expand, community.
Yes.
As such, and with all the riches that can bestow.
What sort of people do you meet? Are they all from different walks or different races? What different generations? What?
Well, yes. Honestly, that's just that is what amazes me. This is actually a very good point, because I have discovered for myself how other people live and how they and what they want and what their issues are, what their problems are, and I've come to understand that I'm not alone in having to face problems and challenges, and that I can be happy and they can be happy too, by embracing life's challenges and difficulties with faith.
Yes, so it's like a place to belong.
Yes, it is a place to belong, and I like to belong to different places. I happen to like the variety, so but on the other hand, what I really admire about the Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group is it's so inclusive, and it's so it is so not just inclusive, but it's so compassionate and so tolerant. The theatre group actually involves a lot of different people, all different abilities when it comes to performing, all different levels of understanding about what it means to be committed to a theatre production. Okay. However, once again, faith is required to make it happen, and it's amazing how these musicals ultimately do come together, even though it may appear like chaos and mayhem and etc., and it's never going to come together, but it does. It always does. People always come to the rise to the occasion. That's what I'm trying to say. People always rise to the occasion, no matter what. But they have to be allowed to do that and to feel that they can do that. So the Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group is a lot about encouraging people who maybe have never actually experienced what it's like being on stage.
On that note, we'll go for a break. You've been watching Spirit of Life. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Tibor Deheny. He's the Publicity Co-ordinator of Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group. Welcome back, Tibor. It's great having you, and you speak very inspiringly about this theatre group. Could you tell us about the different aspects of this theatre group, things that they do besides running musicals?
Well, so the Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group is actually quite diverse in its activities, in terms of pretty much it walks the talk, actually, because apart from being very welcoming and very tolerant of of many different people, and when I say tolerant, I mean in a compassionate, gentle way, in an understanding way, in a forgiving way. Because after all, we all need forgiveness. None of us are perfect, and we can easily irritate other people with our habits and behaviours. And so we basically, part of that tolerance or that compassion that I've experienced with the Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group is actually based on forgiveness. That's a key element of that, actually. And I know that that people who have actually experienced the spirit of Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group have actually expressed that it's helped them heal, possibly from, well, who knows, and maybe even abortion or some other trauma, rape even. It's actually helped them to heal, and so that's a really big part of the theatre group. But also, it's involved in other activities. It's involved in, for example, it conducts a soup kitchen. It even distributes bread to those who are
Social housing and things
poor in social housing, exactly, etc. And apart from which, it also is very active in teaching young people, for example, to learn about acting and performing.
confidence and
which builds confidence and self-esteem and appreciation of self and others. So I think this is where the value is. It would be a real mistake to actually come into Call of Guadalupe theatre group and expect to be famous. That would be a silly thing to want or to expect. That's not what this is all about. Community theatre is not about fame. It's about community. It's about supporting and helping each other to realize our God-given gifts.
Yeah, on the other hand, we have had people who have become famous in our theatre group. We've got two of them, who are now who sing nationally, and someone who's a pop star in Hong Kong, and so we do have, but
yes.
we embrace everyone, and that whether or not they're famous or not famous, they are treated with love. Yeah,
Indeed, yes,
and
that's right.
and also, I suppose the message is not to condemn those who've had abortions, because a lot of people don't know that life begins, at conception, or where, they just are told that it's a pack of cells. So it's, even my best friend, 2 friends had abortions, so it's never to condemn. It's just to say that we love you, we forgive you, and God loves you. Yeah, and that we embrace life. Yeah.
And it's very important for people to actually feel that compassion, that love, that forgiveness, that acceptance. That okay, we don't agree with what you've done. However, we're here to help you, or to heal from whatever has happened or from whatever you've done, and so. That's a very big part of Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group.
And I hear that you've also been involved in Mary Magdalene musical, which is about God's forgiveness for Mary Magdalene.
Well, see, now there's a very good example, actually. So the actual musical that was John Lee's final musical, Magdalene, a Wanton Saint. And many people who are Christians are familiar with Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, and that particular musical is very much about the forgiveness of God and the healing power of forgiveness. And the important point being that that here was a woman who was basically condemned by her society for living the life that she was living, and yet Christ embraced her and showed her his compassion and forgiveness, and that allowed her to heal, and she became a saint, a Christian saint. She became a Christian saint. The legend has it that she even, after Christ was crucified and rose and etc., but she actually evidently went to Rome.
Really?
And told the emperor that you killed the wrong man, mate.
Oh.
She actually had the courage and the guts to do that.
Wow.
I personally feel that she's a hero or a heroine. And in many ways, if you read into her story, she in many ways had more courage and guts than many men of her time. Yeah.
Yes. And it's beautiful to hear that it was because a really godly person looked at her with eyes of love. They looked beyond her sin and that love of a godly man pierced her heart, where she felt God's love through that holy man. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's...
And we can follow Christ's example. We have the same power within us to forgive.
That's beautiful. On that note, we'll go for a break. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us and we'll be back after the break.
Till I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me. Blow, blow, blow till I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Tibor Deheny. He's the Publicity Co-ordinator of Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group. Welcome back, Tibor.
Thank you, Geraldine.
You spoke really well about the inspiring thing of the musicals and Mary Magdalene. Do you also do other activities?
Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group actually is also involved, apart from the activities I've already mentioned, it's also involved in visiting nursing homes and entertaining the people who are in these nursing homes. For example, every year we organise
Christmas carols?
Pardon?
Christmas carols?
Well, we organise to go and sing Christmas carols. So we organise like a choir from amongst those who have been with Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group, and we go and sing, Christmas carols and to the people who are in these nursing homes. And we even have several fans who are most supportive of our theatre group. For example, there's one lady called Jenny who I got to know when I first was introduced to Call of Guadalupe, the musical, back in 2016. And unbeknownst to me, she had just recently gone into a nursing home. She suffers with Parkinson's disease, and she's had it for like 20 years, and it's now got to the stage where she needs full-time care. And this woman is extraordinary because she has not let that situation hold her back from enjoying life as much as she possibly can. And what struck me about this woman was that I barely knew her. I just got to know her quite recently, and she's asking me, almost demanding, that I take her out. And I'm thinking, well, oh my goodness, how can I do that? She's in a wheelchair, she can barely walk, she's got this ailment. I've never done this before. And so this is one of the benefits that I've actually experienced with Call of Guadalupe is I take this woman out regularly now, quite regularly. I used to take her out every couple of months, etc., and she'd always be asking me to take her out. And eventually it got to a point where I began to simply be more supportive of her, in the sense that I would take her out more often, and it became a regular thing once a week. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the most rewarding experiences for me, to be able to do this. And I would never have had the opportunity. It took courage and it took faith.
Yeah.
Because, I've got to take her out in her wheelchair. She always wants to go out as far away from
the nursing home
as possible. So, I pack her into the car, which that's also a challenge in itself. And then I pack the wheelchair in the boot. And then at the other end, at our destination, I take the wheelchair out, and I then take her out of the car and put her in the wheelchair. And this has been an extraordinary experience for me.
Yeah.
Frankly. And she told me the other day that she wants to live to 100. She's about to turn 80. And
wow.
she really loves her life.
Yes.
Because I think primarily because of her involvement with Call of Guadalupe Theatre Group.
She's a great supporter.
Yeah, it's people from the theatre group who take her out. There's actually not just me, there are several of us who either take her out or used to take her out.
Yes,
okay?
and she comes to our Christmas carols too.
And she comes to our musicals. She even comes to some of our workshops, and she participates in whatever way she possibly can.
Yes, the message is let's give life a chance. And
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's very much about let's give life a chance, which is also the theme of the musical Call of Guadalupe. And Jenny is the epitome of that. She is giving life every chance when she could be,
yes.
quite just, sitting by herself, and not doing much, because she can't do very much.
Yes.
She's the type of person, because of her condition, everything has to be done for her.
So the musical, when people come to see it, what should they expect? The colourful costumes, great acting, quality, music, lighting?
It's certainly what can they expect? They can expect a really entertaining story that's behind Call of Guadalupe. It connects the history of Call of Guadalupe to the modern day. There's lots of strong characters involved in this production. There's beautiful music, uplifting, inspiring music. The songs themselves are, catchy. I found myself singing them as I sometimes find myself singing these songs while I'm asleep. And I wake up to it, And there's even a good old-fashioned fight scene, romance, colourful costumes. There's even flamenco dancing involved in this.
And you're going to give 2 free tickets to the first 2 people that email us.
What a good idea, Geraldine. Yes, we'll give 2 free tickets to each of the first 2 people who email us. Well, what's our email address?
cogtheatregroup@gmail.com. cogtheatregroup@gmail.com.
Nothing could be simpler. Cog Theatre Group, cogtheatregroup@gmail.com.
And if they want to know when the musical is on, what is the date of the musical?
So the actual dates for the musical are the 24th, 25th, 26th and 27th of November. The evening sessions start at 7 p.m. So on the 24th, 25th and 26th there is an evening session at 7 p.m. On Sunday the 27th is a matinee at 1 p.m.
And what's their website?
And the website is www.cogtheatre.org.
Fantastic. Well, it's been great to have you, and you've been a wonderful, inspiring person.
Well, thank you,
and I
Geraldine.
wish you all the best for the show. Goodbye, and God bless you as Mr. Browning you're playing. God bless you.
I'm playing Mr. Browning, yes.
Goodbye then.
Thank you, Geraldine.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Goodbye, and God bless you.